Thank you. Good evening. My name is Wade Nutter. I live in Athens, and I'm a retired professor of forestry and hydrology and soils at the University of Georgia School of Forest Resources and Natural Resources. I'm also the founder of a firm called Nutter and Associates. It's a Georgia environmental consulting firm that specializes in water quality, hydrology, ecosystem assessments, and endangered species. We've been conducting these type of environmental studies for 30 years. I would like to introduce Alan Moore, a project scientist on our team who will provide comments of our studies that we have conducted. Alan is a freshwater ecologist who has over 15 years of experience in conducting watershed assessments and National Environmental Policy Act environmental reviews. Alan?
Good evening. Commercialization of the Paulding County Airport is what the White House Council on Environmental Quality terms a tyranny of small decisions. That is, over the past decade, the airport sponsors have constructed and expanded this airport in incremental steps with the apparent goal of developing a second commercial airport. They have done so without appropriate environmental review, by segmenting their assessments and narrowly considering only the incremental steps. And at each step, they found that there would be no significant impact on the environment. This tyranny of small decisions is also apparent in the draft environmental assessment itself, where there is no detailed analysis of the cumulative impacts of the multiple development efforts centered on this airport, including the aerospace technology park and the aerospace businesses that Propeller Investments is pursuing. In our view, these incremental steps, and certainly these steps cumulatively, require a comprehensive environmental impact statement. As shown in this aerial photo, which I have on the floor right here, before the airport was constructed, the Paulding Forest, David, if somebody could get up and pick that up for everyone to see. Before the Paulding Forest before the airport was constructed, the Paulding Forest was a relatively isolated and untouched ecosystem. Essentially, this is the worst place from an ecological perspective to build a commercial airport. The land on which this airport now stands was pristine and untouched portions of the Paulding Wildlife Management Area. The value of the Paulding Forest as a significant recreational amenity and an ecological sanctuary in the ever-urbanizing greater Atlanta region cannot be overstated. And that value was specifically evaluated in a 2013 economic impact analysis of Georgia wildlife management areas commissioned by the Georgia Wildlife Resources Division. Based on that analysis, out of 107 WMAs in Georgia, Paulding Forest ranked 12th in estimated usage during the 2013 survey year. Also based on that analysis, it's clear that Paulding County citizens value their WMAs. Paulding County ranked 9th out of 159 counties on money spent going to WMAs or near WMAs, and estimated at over $7 million on WMAs spent by Paulding County residents. This economic analysis underscores the abundance of hunting and fishing opportunities for a myriad of game species, as well as other recreational opportunities within a short drive from the growing metro Atlanta region. I envision what could be world-class mountain bike trails right here in this forest, 30 minutes from Atlanta on a good traffic day. In addition to the economic importance of Paulding Forest, it has significant ecological and environmental importance, as demonstrated by the presence of several federally threatened species that utilize the forest. The Bluffy Creek and Pumpkin Vine Creek watersheds, which drain just south of the airport, are sensitive ecosystems that support federally threatened Cherokee darter populations, while the Raccoon Creek watershed across 278 supports federally listed Etowah and Cherokee darters. This is our natural heritage. This forest also is critical to threatened and endangered bats, which will be talked about here in a minute. The draft environmental assessment fails to consider the impacts to the Paulding Forest, the recreational opportunities it affords, or its critical importance for these threatened species. Ultimately, the destruction of this forest would represent an enormous loss for Paulding County in Georgia. It would also undermine the long public and private conservation efforts that have made what Paulding Forest is today. I know personally how beautiful this forest is. Over the past 2 years, I've walked all over this forest. You can go to some places along Bluffy Creek, and it is like you're in the Great Smoky Mountains. You're looking up at these steep slopes, beautiful rock bluffs, waterfalls, mountain laurel thickets. This is 30 minutes from Atlanta on a good traffic day. Our national legacy of national parks, wilderness areas, state and national forests, and wildlife areas that we all cherish speaks to the effort of just a few individuals that were not motivated by short-term economic gains, but rather by the recognition of the enormous long-term economic, ecological, and aesthetic value in preserving these areas for future generations. The airport sponsors have completely ignored these important values in the draft environmental assessment. As shown in my aerial photo here from 2010, the initial airport had significant impacts on the Paulding Forest. It involved destruction of a ½ acre of wetlands, the loss of 3/4 of a mile of perennial stream. There was significant mass grading, and 292 acres of clear cutting occurred, leaving behind 61 acres of buildings and concrete and 231 acres of grasslands where a mature public forest once stood. Despite these clear impacts, the FAA and the airport sponsors inexplicably concluded that the initial construction of the airport would have no significant impact on the environment. Over the last few years, significant construction has occurred on the airport, and the FAA and the PCAA have still found that there would be no significant impacts to the environment. In 2010, the airport sponsors also concluded that the proposed terminal area expansion project would have no significant impact, despite the fact that it involved the destruction over an additional acre of wetland, clear cutting of an additional 70 acres of forest, including over 9 acres of stream buffers, and the loss of over a ½ mile of headwater stream to Bluffy Creek. In 2014, 2 categorical exclusions, one for the expansion of the so-called runway safety area, and one for the expansion of taxiways, were classified as having no significant impact. Additionally, projects associated with the Aerospace Technology Park, which include clear cutting of 150 additional acres, were separately found to have no significant impact. As shown in this 2013 aerial photography, this cannot be the case. Now the FAA and the airport sponsors again conclude that yet another incremental step, initiation of commercial service and the associated airport construction activities, will have no significant impact on the environment. They claim that commercialization is simply a small, innocuous change in airport operations. They fail to consider the true impacts of a second regional airport, including aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhaul operations, ground support equipment, gas stations, parking lots, aircraft noise, shuttle services, traffic, industrial developments, and the resulting loss of a rare contiguous forest habitat, the recreational opportunities it provides, and major changes in hydrology and ecosystem function of streams in this sensitive watershed. Indeed, they wholly fail to consider the true scope of the potential impacts centered on the airport development. The scope of these potential impacts is readily apparent in the master airport overlay from the county zoning department, which shows where the airport sponsors intend to expand the commercial and industrial development. That is a very large portion of the Paulding Forest Wildlife Management Area. Based on our experience conducting NEPA reviews, the past NEPA assessments, and without question, the draft EA are woefully inadequate. By piecemealing the environmental review, the airport sponsors attempt to convince the public and the resource agencies that converting a unique and pristine forest into a commercial and industrial hub will have no significant impact on the environment. Also, by piecemealing these projects to the FAA and other agencies, they attempt to evade proper environmental review. They seek sequential, narrowly scoped findings of no significant impact, one on top of another on top of another. This tyranny of small decisions must stop. Despite the sponsors' representations, creating a commercial airport in the middle of the Paulding Forest is no small decision. The FAA and the PCAA must conduct a comprehensive environmental impact statement and fully consider all past, present, and future actions. Thank you.